All right, this is the Right Side of Campus podcast, and we're going to be discussing the deaths of CNN, and this will go over the recent secret recordings of CNN producers, along with CNN blackmailing a private citizen. So, jumping back right into it, would you guys rather discuss the private citizen being blackmailed or the videos first? Because I feel like the videos might take a bit more time.
Yeah, I guess we could go ahead and discuss the blackmail.
Yeah.
Okay, so to catch anybody up, there was a GIF made, a animation of Trump when he was on WWE and he'd premiered on there some years back, and someone had photoshopped CNN over one of the wrestlers' faces as Trump took them down, and he had actually tweeted it, not on the POTUS Twitter, but on his personal one. He had tweeted it out, so CNN found it their duty to find the person who made it, and apparently they found them on the Donald Reddit, and this person issued an apology. And from what people are finding, there apparently he was a 15-year-old, and CNN made a statement saying, "We won't be releasing this person's personal information, but if their apology would change, we reserve the right to." So what do you guys think about that?
Well, it definitely seems like he was pressured into the apology because he CNN claims that he said, "Oh, he would never do it again," and his statement could serve as an example for others not to do the same. And he's taken down all of his offending posts, and he said he's not going to repeat it and all that. But I wonder what they said to him exactly, like what they threatened to do.
Probably will dox you. Probably we will release your personal name and information to all of our viewers. You know, being CNN, probably not as many as it used to be. But I mean, with the people who watch CNN, I mean, a lot of radical leftists, that's who they go to is CNN. A lot of Antifa groups, a lot of people who would, commit violent acts against this person, especially when CNN had hyped up this pretty harmless GIF up to being. To where it's going to incite violence against journalists, which I think is ridiculous, and just them kind of trying to find something to say about it and get more viewers and just overhyping the whole thing in general.
Yeah, honestly, the GIF itself and just this whole thing that's gone with it, it's just so representative of what Trump was talking about, like draining the swamp. Because he's showed the media on multiple occasions, and this being one, of how absolute garbage they are deep down, to the point where they're gonna threaten a 15-year-old kid, because the apology came out of fear.
Oh,
he doesn't
definitely
know what's gonna happen. He's scared. If I were in his shoes, I'd be scared probably even now.
Oh yeah, I'd be definitely.
And the people on the Donald Reddit are seasoned trolls, so they must have really threatened him with, like you said, doxing.
Oh,
so because if I was in that situation and CNN contacted me and threatened to release my information to all their viewers, I would certainly be scared.
Oh yeah, and especially I'd like to rehash it again how violent their viewers are. Their viewers, you think of I know not all CNN viewers are leftists, but obviously a vast majority. Not all leftists are violent, but the left has been pushed more and more towards violence, and recently. Mainly by being overhyped by the media in the first place. So these viewers, these Antifa people who go out and they hit people in the head with bike locks, knowing your address, you would not feel comfortable that way, especially if you're a 15-year-old kid who's just posting jokes on Reddit.
Well, when I first read about the CNN blackmail incident, the congressional baseball game popped up into my head. Maybe it's it came to my mind that it possibly could be a cover-up. Because now the media is portrayed as a bad guy by indoctrinating the shooter at the baseball game, and now they're trying to reverse the roles. Like, hey, we're the good guy, but ultimately this just backfired.
That's a really good point. They're trying to flip the narrative. They've been seen as the ones inciting violence. And good example, but with the shooting at the ball game. So they really are. They're trying to flip the narrative back on the right, saying, no, it's not us. It's the right who's inciting violence. But the only difference is there isn't. There isn't a bunch of right-wing people running out in the street hitting people with bike locks. They're doing these free speech protests, Sharia law protests. They're not going out violently attacking people who disagree with them. So they can say all they want that they're inciting violence, but without any actual evidence or anyone actually going out and doing it, they really have no ground to stand on.
I'm starting to believe that, like, the two sides of the spectrum, like, it's nearly going to be impossible for any sort of reconciliation between them, because it seems like on one side you have right wingers that are so hard set on, like, absolute distrust of the media. They see the left as just this awful group of, you know, continuously violent children. It seems like on one side, you have the left, you are living in a virtually delusional world where transgenderism is okay and not a mental disorder. And not only that, but they're just sitting here. Every time something doesn't go their way, it is a violent temper tantrum.
Yeah, really...
that raises a question. That raises a question. How long can we continue to live promoting this degeneracy? Because there's obviously cohorts between, like, the media, the government, the social media, just a huge complex there with mainly on the left side of politics, where they're just constantly promoting degeneracy. And you really got to wonder, how long can our society continue to remain stable with all of this shoved in our face?
Well, see, we keep protecting these people and their ideology. We keep saying for different ideologies to exist, we have to have different ideologies. But the unfortunate part is, while us keep saying that, people on the right, it's letting these groups thrive. I'm not saying that we need to completely shut down these people's speech, but what I'm saying is, by us promoting free speech, it goes both ways. It allows us to say what we want to say on the right side of politics, but it also is allowing these violent people to keep going out, keep spreading it. And people are like, oh, well, it's okay because they're sharing their opinion. And, normally people would be like, oh, they can spread their opinion because if it's a bad opinion, if it's so ridiculous, people will know that. People are intelligent enough to realize that. But apparently they're not. There's people, young college students being radicalized by them, running out in the streets and committing violence. A professor of ethics went out and attacked people in the streets. It's ridiculous.
And I think that really stems back to the whole growth of social media in recent years, with because America, and I think that really stems back of course, to the promotion of free speech, and it really has helped us, grow as a country and share ideologies and thoughts. But recently, with social media, it seems like people are living in a fantasy world, sort of, and then they go and act like they're living in the fantasy world and commit just stuff that 50 years ago would be completely ridiculous. That's now normal.
Your mic cut out, Clay.
No, I mean, I got the audio from Clay on this end. But, yeah, exactly. It's kind of become normalized, the less violence. Like, oh, another... And I think it started originally with racial tensions and riots, going out in the streets, and you're seeing these riots, seeing they called it, what did they call it? They called it justified outrage in these cases. And now Antifa is jumping on the same.
About recently, or
no, I'm talking about in past years, in recent history, but in past years of these justified outrages going on, and the media saying, oh, well, they have a right to be doing this, they should be angry. Well, now Antifa and groups like that and the left are jumping on the same bandwagon, saying that the election of Trump makes room for justified outrage in their cases, which honestly it doesn't, and the fact that it's become normalized really shows a lot about our society.
Well, isn't that really treason when they're pretty much organizing violence against our president? Isn't that treason and against our government?
Yeah, but it's in their case it's they're going to be against government when it's not on their side. Whether the government is actually corrupt or whether the government is actually tyrannical or too authoritarian, they're going to be against it. And because it's not their ideals.
Well, you guys bring up a good point in that recently with these riots disguised as protests. If you look at the civil rights protests, it's they're marching with the American flag, but now if you look at the quote-unquote civil rights protests, they're burning the American flag and marching with the Pan-African flag.
Yeah, they identify so much more with their race as opposed to their country. It's kind of incredible.
it seems very hypocritical. They're kind of a lot of times they're spreading, and they're spreading the divide even more, and then they complain about there being a divide in the first place. And it's becoming more like that with ideology, political ideology as well, which has always kind of been there a little bit, but it's become way more split in recent years, like you said, Mike, that there is no longer going to be a common ground. There's no longer going to be something called compromise. They're just going to be, it's either this way or it's wrong. It's tyrannical. It's either my way or it's bigoted. And I think, going back to the topic, to the topic at hand, CNN has obviously, in other mainstream media, CNN just being the most obvious perpetrator of this case because of the whole blackmailing, is perpetrating this. And they're trying to flip this. All this evidence we've given, all this seed, they're flipping it, saying, it's not our fault. It's the opposition's fault.
Yeah, and going back to what you said against inciting violence against the president, it seems within liberal Twitter, there's a new hashtag 25th Amendment, and the 25th Amendment states, in the case of the removal of the president from office or of his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. So basically they think that they can suddenly, if they show up in the streets and protest, that Mike Pence will suddenly become president. They don't realize that the president has to be impeached or killed.
Yeah, they're trying to use the argument.
They don't even understand the entire impeachment process.
They're trying to say that he's mentally unfit to be president, and that's their reasoning for wanting to impeach him or get him out of office.
The man gets up at 5 a.m. to tweet some stuff. He gets on Twitter.
They're trying to say that
he probably sits there, gets a good old cup of coffee, and he's like, you know what? We're just gonna watch some liberals get mad today. We're gonna point out the hypocrisy of liberalism, of the media. And he tweets out something like, what did he put, like Kofefe or something?
Coffee.
Yeah.
Like he was supposed to be selling. Yeah, Kofifi.
Like, he was supposed to be coverage.
Yeah, it was supposed to be coverage. And that was easily worth, 2 days.
Do you think that was deliberate?
It could have been.
At this point, I guess it could have been.
Quite a while. Just to kind of see how the media would react.
But
he can post anything.
Do you think
the media is going to freak out?
Yeah. Do you think he expected a response like this from CNN when he tweeted that GIF? Do you think he expected this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And so you think maybe this was his little version of 4D chess, saying that, if I post this, let's see how far CNN will overreact. Let's see how many times they'll shoot themselves in the foot and how deep they're going to dig their own grave.
This man's an absolute master at 4D chess when you really think about it.
Yeah.
Because he's just sitting here and he's toying with them consistently. But, the thing with the media is that they try to, portray themselves, and the left does it, too. He's destroying the media and the left in, one swing, basically, by making, a very simple tweet or something like that, and they blow it entirely out of proportion. They get violent. They protest and all this. But yet the media tries to still, convey themselves as, basically the medium of peace.
Mm.
We are professionalism. We are this.
And this really...
But then they just go and do that.
This kind of leads into our next topic about the videos, because I believe it was John Bonifield who was laughing about media ethics. He was talking to one of James O'Keefe undercover reporters. He said, you learn about all these ethics in journalism class and about it, and he said they're laughable. They're really cute, is what he called it. He said because there are no ethics in our journalism, because it's not. We're not held to the standard because CNN is a business. We don't have to follow these ethics. We're not held to the standard of journalism because we're a business and we do what gets us money and what gets us ratings.
Well, with the media sort of breaking away from the established standard, as you said, Trump is sort of doing that too, because he sees that CNN's pulling all this crap, so he responds in return. Because usually with the the bully pulpit power, the president usually tries to be friends with the media in a way, but Trump is definitely picking the sources he wants to be friends with, and picking the sources he wants to be enemies with, and he definitely has CNN on he's it's basically their puppet, and he has the strings, and he's just toying with them.
Oh, definitely. Well, now that he has Twitter, he doesn't really need the media that much to get out information. He'll just tweet something,
Yeah.
and 1,000 freaking
Yeah.
people will either freak out over it or retweet it. So everyone's gonna see it anyways.
Because of course they were freaking out when he said Twitter's, what was it, modern presidential? People were freaking out about that, but it's true. It's definitely a modern way for the president to communicate directly to the people without being filtered by the media, in a sense.
Reminds you of those.
There was a 2013. There's a 2013 tweet that Trump put out, and I'm gonna paraphrase. He said, "I really love Twitter. It's like owning a newspaper, except without the losses." And it's like, this dude's getting all this coverage for free, and everybody's seeing it because, Trump has well over 1 million followers at least.
I think it's what is
some
it?
of them being bought.
5.3 or what is it now? It's something around there.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
33.3 million.
Oh shoot. Yeah, I mean, some of those.
That's like a tenth of the country.
Yeah.
But like, that's still a lot of people. And he's just like, he's giving them media every day. It's a daily thing. You get on Twitter, you scroll through Trump.
Yep. Well, look
and
at
honestly,
his...
I mean,
go ahead.
Reading through Trump's comical tweets is better than turning on the TV and watching old CNN.
Oh, definitely.
And I think he knows that in a sense. Like, he tries to make his tweets funny.
Entertaining.
Yeah, using the Jeff as example.
Yeah, because he's showing people you don't have to go watch CNN. Even you don't have to go watch CNN. You can just watch me. You can go on my Twitter. I'll let you know everything. You don't have to get things secondhand from Twitter about what I say when you can just see right here. And yeah, I think he purposely makes them entertaining.
And it also kind of shows like how he was elected in a way, just because with the whole election, the people wanted somebody that they could actually connect with, especially like the average working man. So with Twitter, instead of Trump sitting there at the podium and doing press releases and all that, he's actually tweeting to people, like tweeting like we do.
And he even tweets out videos when he wants to make a statement.
Yeah, he posts on Twitter all the time, and he posts them on Instagram too, his weekly addresses.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's a sort of populist appeal in a way.
Oh yeah, let's kind of circle back here to what we were talking about before about the Project Virtus that James O'Keefe has been doing. We have the three big ones have been Van Jones, who is I believe what is he? He's a reporter on CNN. I don't watch CNN, so I wouldn't know. John Bonifield, who is a producer, and then Jimmy Carr, who is also a producer. Jimmy Carr his was a bit less damning to CNN and more towards his own character, I guess. He was asked, "Is it fair to question the intellect of an American voter?" He said, "Oh, they're stupid as shit," is what his response was. And it kind of lets you know what CNN people think about you and what they think about the average American voter.
CNN, their profile for Van Jones is a political commentator.
Political commentator, all right. Yeah, his was he was asked about quote the whole Russia thing, and he was quoted and said it's a big nothing burger, which people they do the whole. They like to say the video was edited, is what CNN likes to release. They said the video was edited. Well, edited can mean a lot of things, and what edited in this case means is cut down for length. It's the same thing that happened with the Planned Parenthood videos. They have the video, they cut to certain points in the video, so they say, oh, it was edited. Well, no, it was cut to key moments because no one wants to watch a 4-hour video of you walking around and getting to nothing, so you get straight to the point. But they still like to call the video edited to try to discredit anything that happens in it.
And it definitely seems like they're trying to hide it because this is the first time I'm hearing about this, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll promote random degeneracy, as I mentioned before, but stuff like this actually is important where the media is directly lying to the American people to simply make a profit. They'll push that down.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they, like I said about this was John Bonifield, who was I'm quoting here. He said that ethics are cute, that media ethics are cute, and that this is a business and we're here to make money. He was asked why does CNN focus on Russia. He responded, of course, with ratings. They asked, so the whole Russia thing is bullshit. He said it could be bullshit. I mean, honestly, it's bullshit right now. We don't have any giant proof. And the president is probably right to say that you guys are witch hunting me because we have no smoking gun, no real proof whatsoever. And which is, there is no proof, one, and some people are like, oh, well, there's an investigation. There must be proof hiding in that investigation. They haven't released it yet. And even John Bonifield, the CNN producer, was quoted saying, if there was any proof in this investigation, it would have been leaked by now. As many leaks and as much stuff is getting leaked right now, if there was any smoking gun, anything big coming out of this investigation, it would have been leaked. Somebody would have got a hold of it. Somebody would have heard of it. CNN would be the first people jumping on that bandwagon, and they have nothing. They just report that something is happening, but they don't actually show any proof, evidence, or anything that could come close to being conceived as this actually happening.
Yeah, definitely, and it's funny because they try to promote leaks as being right wing for some reason.
Yeah.
Because WikiLeaks, leaking against Hillary, and they're like, oh, we have so much dignity, which obviously they don't according to this ordeal, but we have so much dignity, and WikiLeaks, they're hacking and doing illegal actions to get information. That's such a right wing Nazi thing to do.
Yeah. When they loved WikiLeaks before this, they loved anything else they would leak. But then, as soon as they leak something that goes against their ideology or their narrative, they're like, "Oh, WikiLeaks is a right wing propaganda machine. Putin is paying off Julian Assange to leak these things." It's like, what?
But when it comes down to it, I mean, WikiLeaks information is real and theirs isn't. So
yeah, WikiLeaks is in no way biased.
I always love it. I always love it, really, because it's on both sides. And, you get one side, you get the right wing, they do something. And then, the left points it out, and then the right wing's like, no, they're lying. And then, it goes back and forth, and vice versa, and all that.
Mm-hmm. And it's fun. It's funny, because we're bringing. Because now you're seeing sources that have historically had no credibility, such as BuzzFeed. Certainly, the bigger media outlets such as CNN will drag their stories up to where the majority of the people will see them. And because an example with remember the Trump peeing on a Russian prostitute, the thing that lasted for one day, and everyone forgot about it after they found out it was fake. But liberals really tried to push it for one night, and they were using a BuzzFeed article from a parody that was written a few years ago.
Since when was BuzzFeed a reliable news outlet? And I guess it's just kind of poetic justice for CNN to bring up something that BuzzFeed had. That it came, what did this Russian prostitute thing came from someone's fan story or joke story, and then BuzzFeed gets a hold of it, and then CNN's like, oh, this is something reputable. This is something we should talk about. Are you fucking kidding me?
And I think what has to do with it is, the big six in media. I think all the media outlets are owned by 6 major companies. And with that, you have information easily going from one outlet to another. So it can spread within a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and I was looking into it, too, because I didn't really find much on it. But I think it's interesting, at least with CNN anyway, because Trump might be low-key going into Ted Turner. I wonder what Ted Turner's because CNN is a division or a part of a greater company called Turner Broadcasting System. Turner Broadcasting System Incorporated. And he might be going after Ted Turner. And I'm kind of interested to see what Ted Turner's political donations are, because, if he has a part about it, he might be part of the swamp as well. And taking out one of his largest sources of revenue would be important.
Well, Ted Turner, he was actually right wing, I believe. He started out as right wing, and then I believe his son said Jane Fonda was actually the one that made his dad turn to the left. But Ted Turner was originally right wing, but apparently it was his marriage which turned more to the left. But originally he was right wing.
Yeah, and I honestly love going back to BuzzFeed. They're really not relevant at all. Don't they have a certain Lacey Green who talks about 56 genders? And not only that, but I'm on
she's
BuzzFeed
actually
right
with
now.
she's actually with MTV, Lacey Green. Which it shows even more because MTV now has a news. MTV now does the same thing. And what's funny, you bring up Lacey Green because recently she's actually gone through a bit of a red pill, which is really funny. It's kind of going off topic. But it shows that people are kind of switching up. People are kind of realizing, wow, I've kind of just been indoctrinated into this leftist narrative that I myself, when I actually become skeptical of, don't even believe. Because she's released videos about her, quote, being red pilled and how there kind of only is two genders and kind of gone back on a lot of stuff she says. And she has gotten a lot of hate from the SJW community because of it.
Well, it's funny because in recent times, the media is literally distorting reality. They're literally convincing people that there aren't two genders, even though we can see with our own two eyes that there are genders. It's kind of like an Orwellian sort of deal where they're literally skewing reality.
Yeah, but looking at BuzzFeed's trending now, their first thing is how stereotypically white are you? This might be like the quizzes.
Oh my god.
And then the fourth one is 23 pictures that are too real if you've ever had sex with a penis. Really? Like, no, how degenerate are you going to be to basically spew absolute just like BS like that?
And this is something,
like,
someone that CNN gets stories from. These people.
Like, how far have we fallen where we're going to sit here and actually, like, cater to companies who are going to just constantly blab on about multiple genders, and they sit here and distort reality, and they do it to, like, small children, too. And, just constantly talk about sex. Like, they're turning us into, it's not even brainwashed, mentally disordered animals.
And going back to what we were saying before, yeah, it really does show the character of CNN by using these kind of people and these sources for their news. So I think we're kind of fading away from the topic, and I think we can actually have more conversations on we can have a gender conversation in another video. But I think we've kind of addressed CNN and the death of it. And honestly, according to James O'Keefe, there will be more things released, and we might actually have to come back to here. This has been Alex, Clay, and Mike with RSC.